So I'm just starting the polishing process for the guards. I want to bring them up to a mirror polish. So I just finished with 220 grit. So I'll basically do this. Started at 150, 220, 320, 400, 600, then 1000, then 1500 grit, and that should give me a pretty good polish on these guards. And then I'll have to try and keep them protected till they're finished so they don't mess it up and have to retouch it up while they're on the knife. It's a lot easier to polish them right now off the knife than it is on it. Okay, there's 2000 grit. So now they just need a little bit of polish. Okay, I'm getting ready to coat these to do the Hammond line on them. I tried a different kind of clay which did not work. It popped off, but I went ahead and normalized the blades 3 times, 3 cycles, so that this time around I won't have to do the heating cooling cycles of normalizing, which can cause the clay to want to pop off a little bit more. I got the kind of clay that I usually use. They didn't have it when I went to get that, and so I thought I'd try that kind, but it didn't work. It's still got a little bit of the remnants of the previous clay coating, and I'm going to leave that on because those are obviously adhered to the blade pretty good. I want it to stick to the blade. So I'm just going to start putting on the clay. So I'm just trying to try to do a pattern here that will kind of make an interesting Hammond. I will try to mirror whatever I do on this side, do the same thing on the other side so that it helps bring that pattern out. Put a pretty good layer right here because I want this area here to remain softer, where I've got those square corners that I don't want stress risers to make that snap off, and it's easier just to clay coat that than to try and round those corners now. I'm going to slowly try and dry it a little bit so that I can flip it over and do the other side without this side running. You can't heat it too fast or it'll want to bubble on you. You could use a torch, propane torch or something. I'm just using a heat gun. pattern doesn't usually, this is 1084, so it doesn't give you quite the dramatic effect that some other steels might, some water quenching steels, or even 1095. It doesn't follow it exactly, the line, but it's always interesting to see where it does end up. Now I'll let it dry, and I'll put it in the oven at about 200 degrees for a couple hours, and at about 400 degrees for an hour, and try to get it all dried out. Here's one that has pretty cool hammond on it. I like the way this hammond turned out. Alright, I've got the knives warming up here in the oven. I've got the oil on, heating it up. I've got the forge warming up. Look at that bull. So glad I didn't find that set brown. This will make good handles. Alright, so there they are. They're in there right at 400 degrees. Just starting to cure the cement. Cement has to get to about 500 degrees to cure. Alright. Got my magnet set up right here. I'll take them up to non-magnetic. Put them back in for just a minute to make sure that they go back to that, then quench them. Alright. Leave that right there. That'll go up to about 110, 120. I'm going to do the small one first because there's a chance that the long one will be too long for my oil here, and if that's the case I'll put it in the longer quench tube. we're getting ready here. We're non-magnetic. Bring the whole thing up to where it's all the same temperature. Go straight into the quenchant. The only movement I'm doing is up and down. I don't want to do any side to side because I don't want to warp the blade. I'm going to leave it in there long enough to get good and cool because I don't want the clay that's coating that blade will help it retain heat, and I don't want that heat to transfer back down into the cutting edge, take the temper out of it. Get this one ready. We're at non-magnetic. Well, some of the clay popped off, so it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see at what point it popped off, and if I get I'm on. Hopefully it stayed on there long enough. I'm laying it on a piece of wood because if I laid it on a piece of cold steel, the chance it could break that blade. Probably it was on there long enough because the cooling that has to take place for this steel to harden fully is done in under a second, and this clay is, I mean, I heard it pop off probably 2-3 seconds after it went in there. If that hadn't fully hardened within 2 or 3 seconds, I'm not going to get the temper that I want, the treatment that I wanted anyway on it.